All right, so we're diving into sensory play today.
Okay.
I've got a ton of research here,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited to dig in and see what
Ditto.
we find. Whether you're an educator, parent, or just interested in like how kids learn, I think you're going to find this deep dive really interesting. Did you know that sensory play is way more than just keeping little hands busy?
Hmm.
It can actually boost all kinds of development, like even STEM skills.
Yeah, it's not just about, having fun.
Right.
Although, I mean, that's a huge part of it. But it really gets kids curious and, helps them learn about the world using their senses. It's fascinating.
That makes total sense. So we're talking about engaging all five senses here, like
Yeah.
touch, sight, sound, smell, even taste.
Uh-huh.
The research mentions stuff like the difference between how kinetic sand feels compared to slime,
Right.
or how visually cool light panels can be.
Exactly. Those are such good examples, and it really shows how flexible sensory play is. You can pretty much adapt it to any theme or learning goal you can think of.
Okay, so let's break down some of these benefits. I'm really interested in how sensory play affects cognitive development. I mean, it can't just be about having fun in the sandbox, right?
You're right, it's more than that. Think about a kid messing around with sand and water.
Okay.
They're experimenting with things like volume, like how much each container can hold, and also gravity, watching how the water moves and how the sand piles up.
So they're getting hands-on with those scientific ideas without even knowing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those early experiences build the foundation for problem-solving skills that they'll use their whole lives.
Right.
Like they're learning to think critically, test out ideas, and adjust how they do things.
Right.
These skills are important way beyond just the sandbox.
It's not only about those basic science skills, though, is it? The way language develops naturally during sensory play is so cool. I mean, just think about how kids start describing what they're feeling. The textures, sounds, even smells.
Yeah, absolutely. And as parents or educators, we can help them develop their language even more by using descriptive words. So like if a child says, "This is rough," you can say, "Yeah, it's bumpy and textured. It's kind of like the bark of a tree."
Such a good point. You're turning a simple sensory experience into a vocabulary lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's something that I think will resonate with a lot of parents and educators, the idea that sensory play can actually help kids manage their big feelings. I
Right.
know that feeling overwhelmed can definitely lead to meltdowns.
Definitely. And the research shows that doing sensory activities can actually help kids calm down.
Oh, wow.
Like think about squeezing a stress ball or just playing with water. These simple actions can really help release tension and frustration.
So it's a healthy way for them to deal with those big emotions.
Yeah.
And it also teaches them how to self-regulate. I'm picturing a little sensory corner in a classroom or at home, a safe space for a child to go when they need a break.
Exactly. It gives them that safe space to deal with their emotions and learn how to cope,
Mm.
which is super important for dealing with, all the ups and downs of life.
It also makes me think about how sensory play can help kids learn how to get along with each other.
Uh-huh.
Like the example of a water bead sensory bin. It's so easy to imagine kids working together, sharing, and taking turns,
Yeah.
which helps them build those essential social skills.
It really is a natural way for them to pick up those skills while they're having fun.
Yeah.
Things like guided group activities, where you encourage them to work toward a goal together, are really good for building those social and emotional connections.
So it's not just about individual development, it's also about learning to be part of a group and working together.
Exactly. And if you think about it, that's crucial for doing well in school, at work, and just in life in general.
Okay, let's shift to fine motor skills.
Okay.
I know tons of parents worry about their kids developing the hand strength they'll need for things like writing and using scissors.
Yeah, definitely. And sensory play can be a game changer here. Like all those motions you make during sensory play,
Yep.
scooping, pinching, threading beads, even just squishing Play-Doh, all of those strengthen the muscles in their hands.
It's like a sneaky workout for those little hand muscles,
Yes.
which are so important for doing those essential tasks later on.
Yes.
It's amazing how such simple activities can have such a big impact.
It really is.
Speaking of impact, we have to talk about how sensory play helps kids become more creative.
Yes, definitely.
I was just getting to that. This is something I'm personally really passionate about. When I think of sensory play, I picture stuff like colored rice
Hmm.
or slime things that just spark imagination and let kids come up with their own ideas.
Right, and that's what those materials do. They encourage kids to think outside the box, experiment, and create their own little worlds and stories.
Right.
These are like the building blocks of innovation,
Yeah,
and those are valuable skills that stay with them long after childhood.
absolutely. Those traits are super important in a world that's always changing and needs people to think in new ways and solve problems. Okay, we've covered a lot, but there's one more benefit that I think is essential in today's world with all the distractions from technology. What about focus and attention?
Oh, that's such an important point. In a world that's constantly competing for their attention, sensory play can be a great tool for helping kids develop focus and concentration.
Yeah.
Think about a kid sorting things by color or building a tower with blocks.
Right.
Those need a lot of attention and focus,
Mhm.
which are, key for learning and being successful at, well, pretty much anything.
You're saying that even just playing with blocks can help kids learn how to concentrate so they can do stuff like read or solve math problems later on?
Exactly. And the great thing about sensory play is it's already so interesting for kids.
Right.
They're not being forced to sit still and concentrate,
Mhm.
They're totally absorbed by how it feels and how much fun it is to discover new things.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like tricking them into learning, but in a good way.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the cool benefits, but how do these ideas actually work in real life? The research says sensory play can be adjusted for different age groups, from babies and toddlers all the way to preschoolers and kindergartners. Where do we even start?
Well, for the littlest ones, like babies and toddlers, it's all about giving them safe and stimulating things to do that engage their senses. Think soft textures, interesting sounds, even things they can safely put in their mouths.
Oh, like those edible sensory bins I've seen on social media. The ones with mashed potatoes or whipped cream. Those are so cute.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's a fun way for them to check out different textures and even use their sense of taste safely. As they get a bit older, into preschool, you can start adding activities that are a little more challenging and make them think more.
So stuff like sorting games with colors, puzzles, or those mesmerizing sensory bottles we talked about earlier, I bet preschoolers would be all over those.
Definitely. And then when they're about to start kindergarten and get ready for more structured learning, you can bring in some STEM activities that use scientific concepts in a hands-on way.
Like, what kind of activities? I'm always looking for ways to bring science to life for kids.
The research mentions trying out magnets in a bin full of sand.
Okay.
It seems simple, but they're actually learning about magnetic forces and playing around with different materials. Or you could do a sink or float experiment in a tub of water with different objects.
Hmm,
They'll have so much fun they won't even realize they're learning.
that's the best way to learn. I'm also a big fan of bringing nature into sensory play.
Me too. Taking the outdoors inside, whether it's making a nature sensory bin with leaves and rocks
Yeah.
or doing leaf rubbings,
Yeah.
it's awesome for connecting kids with nature and making them curious.
There are so many possibilities. We've talked about sensory bins, water play, Play-Doh, nature exploration. It's like the options are endless.
They really are. And something that's important to remember is you don't need fancy toys or expensive stuff to create those engaging sensory experiences.
That's a good point. It's more about being creative and resourceful, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Sometimes the simplest stuff, like cardboard boxes, empty containers, and things you find outside, can lead to the most engaging and imaginative play.
Yeah.
It's about seeing everyday objects in a new way and figuring out how to use them for a sensory experience.
I love that. It's about encouraging that feeling of wonder and discovery
Right.
in both kids and adults. Okay, before we move on, I want to go back to something we talked about before, safety. Especially with younger kids, it's super important to make sure those sensory adventures are safe and fun for everyone.
Absolutely. The research really stresses how important it is to always supervise young children during sensory play,
Yeah.
especially if there are small things involved. It's also crucial to be aware of allergies when you're using things with scent or edible materials.
Those are great reminders. What about choking hazards? I know that's a big concern for parents of toddlers who love to put everything in their mouths.
Oh, right. Choosing age-appropriate stuff is so important, and being extra careful with younger kids is key.
Yeah.
If you're using small things like beads or buttons, you got to make sure they're either attached really well or kept in a sealed container.
So common sense and a watchful eye are what we need.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's also a good idea to have a designated spot for sensory play,
Okay.
like a sensory table, a tray, or even just a certain area on the floor. This keeps the mess contained and makes cleaning up way easier.
Speaking of mess, I think we should embrace the messiness that comes with sensory play. It's all part of the fun,
Yeah,
right?
totally. It's
Yeah.
about letting kids explore and experiment without worrying about making a mess.
Right.
That's how they learn and discover. Of course, we want to have some boundaries and keep those cleaning supplies handy.
Yeah.
But a little mess means they're really engaged in their play.
That's such a great perspective. It reminds me of how much pressure we put on ourselves as parents and educators to keep everything spotless and organized. But sometimes a little mess is a good thing.
I agree. It's about finding that balance between having some structure and letting them freely explore.
Okay, so we've talked about safety and mess management. Is there anything else we should remember when we're doing sensory play? Any tips to make it even more effective?
The research points out that it's important to encourage kids to think about their play afterwards.
Oh, well,
Asking them questions like, what did you notice? Or what was your favorite part? Helps them process what they did and connect it to what they're learning.
that's a great idea. It's about taking those hands-on experiences and making them into learning moments.
Exactly. And those conversations also help you as a parent or educator understand what your child is interested in and how they learn best.
Yeah.
It's valuable feedback.
It seems like sensory play is a win-win for everyone. The kids have fun and explore, and the adults get to see them, make amazing discoveries, and understand how they're learning.
Exactly. It's a wonderful thing. And the more we can encourage this kind of hands-on, discovery-based learning, the better prepared our kids will be for whatever the future holds.
Totally agree. Okay, we've covered a lot of practical stuff about sensory play in this part of our deep dive, but what are your thoughts on the bigger picture? Why is sensory play so important now, especially when technology is everywhere and kids are glued to screens?
Yeah, it feels like we're always fighting screen time.
Right.
And I worry about how all that digital stuff is affecting their development.
Yeah.
Is sensory play like the solution?
That's a really interesting way to think about it. Sensory play lets them connect with the real world, with things they can touch and experience with all their senses, especially in a world full of screens. It's about using their hands, exploring different textures, and getting messy.
Right.
Stuff that you just can't do digitally.
It makes you realize how much we've moved away from those hands-on experiences as adults, too.
It's true. But think about all the skills kids learn through sensory play: problem solving, creativity, communication, emotional regulation.
Right.
Those are essential for success in any field, no matter how technology changes.
So it's not just about getting them off screens.
It's about giving them the skills they need to deal with the world that's getting more and more complex and unpredictable.
Exactly. And the research shows that sensory play is a developmentally appropriate practice.
Okay.
It meets kids where they are, giving them experiences that fit their individual needs and abilities.
That makes perfect sense. We know every kid develops at their own pace, and sensory play allows for that, right? It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Exactly. And because it's so much fun, it makes them think of learning as something positive.
Yeah.
They're not just memorizing facts, they're exploring, discovering, and enjoying themselves,
Right.
which makes them want to keep learning throughout their lives.
That's really powerful. It makes me think about something the research mentioned. How can we, as adults, bring more sensory experiences into our own lives? I know I could use a break from screens and a little more hands-on creativity.
I love that you're thinking about that. It's so easy to forget about those simple pleasures as we get caught up in adulting.
Yeah, so what are some things we can actually do? I'm ready to tap into my inner child.
It could be as easy as going for a walk in nature,
Okay.
really paying attention to what you see, hear, and smell.
Hmm.
Or you could try a new recipe and really savor all the flavors and textures. Maybe pick up a new hobby that involves using your hands, like pottery or gardening.
Yeah.
Even just listening to music that you really connect with can be a powerful sensory experience.
Those are great ideas. It's about being present and really experiencing things with our senses instead of just going through the motions. As we've been talking, it's made me realize how much sensory play is about bringing back that sense of wonder and curiosity that we tend to lose as we grow up.
I think you're absolutely right. And maybe if we can find that sense of wonder again in our own lives, we can be even better at encouraging sensory play for the kids in our lives.
It all comes back around. So
Yeah.
to everyone listening, we encourage you to explore the world using all your senses,
Yeah.
whether you're building a sandcastle with a kid or just taking a minute to enjoy a beautiful sunset. Sensory play isn't just for kids, it's for everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the awesome world of sensory play.